Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special video edition of Kop End Fracas. It is the Darwin Nunez Scout Report. I'm your host, Chris, and joining me, I've got Els. Els, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, sir. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good. I'm even more happy that Liverpool are on the verge of completing a deal for Benfica and Uruguay forward Darwin Nunez for around about £65 million, which is the most amount of money that Liverpool have spent on an attacker. So let's bring a picture. Let's bring the man into the conversation. Let's bring the man into the chat there. That is the man we're talking about, Mr. Darwin Nunez. Els, we've seen him up close and personal this season in the two games. Talk to me a little bit about what you first saw of him when you're watching the games and any of those kind of traits we're about to talk about as we dive into the scouting video that appeared on across the course of the 180 minutes for you.
Yeah, so it's funny because I was in Nigeria, so I didn't get to watch the games live, but I caught the highlights, the extended highlights of him. And what we did see was a very mobile number 9 who was giving our centre backs a lot to think about. He was always on the shoulder. I think in the game at Anfield, I think Matip and Gomez played, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong. No, Matip and
I believe so. Let me quickly check. It was Konate and Matip.
Konate and Matip. So he gave both
and
of them.
Gomez was at right back, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he gave that partnership a lot to think about, always being off the last man and being a very good outfit. I think what really struck everybody in the games where he's finishing, what was his finishing ability and how ridiculous his finishing was. I mean, one of the goals, he gets he opens his body up and he slots it far right hand post, and it's almost like Henry-esque, and it's hit the side netting inside the goal. So I mean, if you can finish like that is ridiculous. There's another finish where he's offside, but he's chipped Alisson. He's gone 1-on-1 and he's chipped Alisson. And obviously everyone knows not many people can beat Alisson 1-on-1, and to do that kind of a finish, it was a very beautiful finish. Unlucky it was offside. So we're getting a pure number 9 he's very old school in terms of being on the last man. We don't really get them nowadays. So yeah, it will look very, very interesting to see him up close and personal, like watching him for 90 minutes, how he moves, what he's really good at, what he isn't really good at. Like, he's still 22, so he has probably another 3 years to really hit his peak properly. So, but what we do know is we're getting a very athletic, mobile number 9 who can finish very well.
Couldn't agree more. And I think the terms of the contract, as we've been seeing, a 6-year deal means there's a lot of room for growth and development. And we're going to talk better with the attributes that he can work on. And we're going to go through it in this in-depth scout report. If you enjoyed what we did with the Luis Diaz scout report, you'll enjoy this one even more because it is about a lethal, relentless, very physical goal-scoring number 9. Let's quickly tap into some of the key stats before we do get started. 26 goals and 4 assists in the Portuguese league this season with an XG of 18.4 alongside a very impressive 30.6 conversion rate. So that's around about 1 in 3. When you think about the averages 3 shots a game, it's almost a goal every 90 minutes. So Els, when you're looking at those stats off the bat already, you're really impressed by what he can do, because the Portuguese league, you look at some of the talent that does come out of there, the physical centre-back play, it's an intense league to kind of be moulded into. How well do you think that this rate of conversion and how he's kind of integrated himself in the Portuguese league, how do you think that will import itself over to the Premier League?
To be honest, the English league is a whole different kettle of fish. I think, like you say, that the defenders are very physical, very robust. But then I think where the difference is our midfield play is very quick in the midfield, very tight in the middle. So you haven't got enough time to like pick your head up and make a pass. So some of the goals that we've seen from Nunez is the midfielders picking their head up, being able to deliver our ball over the top for him to run onto, or him picking up the ball from deep and being able to like dribble past a couple of defenders. This league is very different because you come in and fam, it's long for you. It's long. I mean, we was linked with Timo Werner, he was and also a pacey wide man who like to come central. And I remember they played, I think they played Huddersfield or something, or Brighton, one of the two. And after the game, he said, "Yeah, this league is hard because the defenders they don't give you no space, they don't give you no time. They're physical, they're very robust, and they may not be as quick as you, but they're very
breathing down our necks. That's what they're doing.
Literally, that's what they're doing, and they're not going to give you a couple inches to move. So he's a good finisher. So I do expect him to gobble up some chances. There's a lot of pauses here. I do expect him to. I expect him to take up some chances that will fall to his feet. Will he get as many chances as he did in Portugal? I'm not sure. So if he ends the season, God willing, let's say he gets 15 goals, I think that's a great return. That's a great return for him. But you never know. He could end up having a Salah-like first season, which will be fantastic. Or
completely agree. I think if you put the benchmark of 15 goals in his first season, that's very impressive considering the other goal scorers he's got around him. I think the key thing to take away here is the amount of playmakers he's got around him as well. We've seen so many examples and so many videos of the chances that Trent's created, the chance that Mo's created, the chance that Robbo's created, where it did need that physical presence inside the box, whether it be someone to head on the end of crosses, someone to be on the back post to kind of put the ball in the back of the net. There's so many opportunities that do go waste in this Liverpool team. And so many times we just sat there and thought a physical number 9 would do the job here, a physical and athletic and robust number 9, which is what we seem to be getting in Darwin Nunez. A few other key stats before we do get stuck into some of the key data we've got here. Scored 18 goals from his 28 shots attempted on target. That's an astounding conversion rate of around 65%, which again, absolutely insane. Really, really lethal in front of goal. As Els mentioned, the strength, the speed, and the general athleticism seems to be relatively unmatched when you look at his build as a footballer. I think the only footballer you can really put to him in terms of the build and how he plays against for his age is probably Erling Haaland. We have a graph that backs that up later on, which we don't want to get into a little bit now, but we'll cut into a little bit later on. Just kind of some of the things I've noticed when I'm looking at his game. I'm sorry if I am looking at a different screen. It's just got my notes on it. You really look at how he pins the opposition centre-backs deep and makes runs across the opposition back line, often to attack the near post. Like we said, some of those balls that do come in do require a presence at the back post from Liverpool. He makes direct runs in behind. He's more than effective when using his tall frame and upper body strength to get the better centre-backs, which again, physical play in a very physical league is something he will really need to have. And he's really effective when attacking balls played across the goal. The runs passes played diagonally in behind the opposition when close to the goal. And when you think about how Liverpool play, if there's something that Liverpool do as a trademark, it's diagonal balls behind the back defensive. So Virgil van Dijk crosses, Trent Alexander-Arnold crosses, even those Jordan Henderson balls, which we do make fun of from time to time, are going to be very effective here. And we look at that, though, the instinctive, quick reactions in how he plays. He responds quicker than defenders to react to deflections, loose balls, and through balls inside and central spaces close to the goal. And El, just kind of off the back of what I've said there in terms of a man who's very reactive within the 12 to 18-yard box. And you look at how Liverpool play, and it seems a little bit out of keel to say that Liverpool do lack another goal-scoring presence, and they leave some food on the table considering how many goals they do score. How do you think the Nunez will do in terms of the actual way that we play? How do you think he will fit into that system?
I think I was watching Tifo when they were talking about what he does, and they're talking about how he likes to peel off.
God bless Tifo, by the way. The animation style and just the narrator's voice makes me jealous. In all honesty,
It's elite stuff. And they were talking about how he likes to peel off and try to get to the back post, and how he likes to come from the left into central. It's funny you talk about the Henderson crosses, those kind of lofted passes. We see it as next to nobody, but maybe someone like Nunez who likes to peel off and get onto the fullback, he will probably like to chance himself and try and get at the end of those crosses. Also, if you look at games against, let's for instance say Tottenham, where it seems like we're running out of ideas and we don't know what to do. It's a tight game. You've got 9 men behind the ball. You've got Roma, what's his name? The Argentinian centre back.
Romero.
You got him just clearing the ball. Well, if you get someone like Nunez to pin himself against someone like that, give you something else to think about. Yeah. So I believe that him coming in, he'll come in, it will be a very good addition to us. But it'll be also interesting to see if we change the way we play. I know you're going to go on and talk about his key attributes later on, but I would like to see how we now change our style with a number 9. Salah at Roma had the Dzeko, so he's very used to a number 9.
Jota had Jimenez.
Jota had Jimenez.
Jota
Diaz
had his Jimenez.
Yeah. Who?
He had what's his name? Marega and the other guy.
Yes,
that one guy, that criminal. I can't remember that criminal's name from when we played them earlier on, and he kept missing a load of chances. But he had that guy as well.
They had that. So everyone's played with a big, robust number 9. Yep. So it's not something that's going to be foreign to them. So it will definitely. Obviously, we're not lost on the premise that our style might tweak a bit just because we want to try and accommodate him. But I think it will change for the better, and it will give us a better option. This guy Nunez gives us opportunity to have a plan A, B, and C. When you think about it, because we could go 4-4-2 now, or we can go 4-4-2-3-1. We can go 4-3-3. Whatever you want, he can do it. So it is a good prospect to have.
There's a plethora of options on the table. So let's get stuck into it. Let's get stuck into the actual stats and the main scouting report behind the man who has been labelled as a cross between Luis Suarez with his tenacity and Edison Cavani with his physicality and finishing ability. So here's his radar charts for we've taken from the Athletic from 2021-2022 season compared to his 2020 and 2021 season. And Els, the one thing that we've noticed and a lot of people have made out is the ball retention ability. If we look, obviously, again, it is a small sample size to around about a third, but we look at the ball retention ability from the 2020-2021 season, comparing it to his previous season. He was playing a lot on the left wing, and obviously Benfica changed their style of play in this season as well. It shows that there is not that much to be worried about, but again, it is a little bit of a concern. But one of the stats that I saw from earlier on in the campaign was the percentage of touches lost this season when you compare Darwin Nunez to our current front four. Luis Diaz was 24%. Darwin Nunez is 27.2%. Firmino, one of the more secure people who were on the ball, 27.8%. And then the other guys were Salah at 33.2% and Mane at 35.1%. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But when you're looking at these charts and you look at how he does and how he's contributing, a lot of the emphasis changed in terms of him to be a ruthless attacking number 9. What are your interpretations when you see these charts?
Yeah, I think it's important to state that their style did change. So from halfway through the season, I think they got rid of George Jesus. He had him on the left-hand side of a 3-4-3. And they got a new coach in who was playing a more counter-attacking 4-4-2. So, as you can see from the season it's gone, his carry and dribble volume is still same high, but he's a striker that likes to get the ball up, and just run at defenders. Last season, it seemed 2020 and 2021, it seemed like he was playing as a pure number 9. As you can see, his ball retention ability, so he's able to hold it up, bring others into play. His ball progression is still there. And the only thing is, I'm not sure. I don't know how his pressing is, because I haven't seen a lot of pressing numbers. So I don't know if you can tell me where he is in that.
I wouldn't expect him to be the pressing machine that you would kind of see from kind of a Firmino, but I think he's got all the attributes there too. That's the one thing he needs to improve on. I guess his kind of defensive overall contribution to his game, and I think he can do that. I mean, if you look at it, there's a lot of there's just a lot of things to be coached on. But again, we look at it, it was a raw 22-year-old, about to turn 23, and there's a lot of things to look up there. I mean, one of the things that really stands out to me here is how the progressive passing and the link-up play volume really increases as he transitions to that number 9 who likes to drift into left, wide, and areas. And the one thing that doesn't really fall off is his XG and how he kind of creates these chances and the shots he's taking. If anything, the shot volume increases, but of course the goals increase as well. And there is a really interesting stat that I've got here which will kind of link into the next point as well. His average shot this season was rated at around about 0.21 as an XG chance, and that's an absolutely outrageous number, and will place him kind of in the top 5 across Europe's top leagues as well, in that category of Lewandowski, etc. So there is a lot there to be excited about. And again, it shows you how he can really be of an advantage on those counter-attacking opportunities as well, and linking up with the other 2 attackers.
Exactly. And also, before we move on, is like there's nothing better than a striker getting the ball into the box, dribbling. So he's not how would I say, like a Peter Crouch number 9, where he's gonna bring it down, he's gonna shove it onto the wing, then he's gonna run into the box. He's just more of a, I'm bringing it down, I'm turning, and I'm running into the box. And to be quite fair, I really love those kind of number 9s, because those are the number 9s that always have an action. So either he's gonna win a free kick, he's gonna move us up 15 yards up the pitch, he's gonna win a corner, or he might get a goal. So this is a striker who's gonna really evolve the attacking team. Losing Mane, we need someone like that, because Mane kind of does the same thing. He's someone that pushes us up 30 yards at a time with his pace and just being able to run. So, but when you have a number 9 who can do it and bring other people into it, it'd be good. And probably his off the ball runs as well, because now you might have Salah running to the spaces he's leaving. You're gonna have Diaz coming from the other side, running into the spaces he's leaving. So that's just gonna give us another option. So when you think about it, when you sit down and have like these kind of discussions, it makes you kind of excited.
I completely agree. And 67 progressive runs in the 2021-2022 season. You look at how he's a very powerful runner. Loves to drive forward, gets into that left hand channel where the space is. We look at the quickness. He's strong. He's direct. The ball carrying is definitely there. And when you compare him to what we need to replace in Sadio Mane, it's a very exciting opportunity, because that, as we discussed, Els, that is one thing that Mane does bring to the table in high quantity and high volume. And we look at this shot heat map, and it's really interesting that if you looked at a lot of other Liverpool forwards, they would probably be from the left-hand side, the right-hand side. There is nothing really directly down the middle. And you see there, obviously, the brighter categories is obviously where he gets his most shots off. And it's really exciting to see that we're going to have someone who kind of gets his business in between the sticks. And with those high rates of conversion too, it seems he's an extremely lethal finisher. Els, when you're looking at this, what's the one thing that really stands out to you?
He's just getting those shots off in the middle of the goal. That's where you got to score most of your goals, especially in this league, especially with the chances we make. At times when you're watching Liverpool, you've only got one person in the box, or you have no one in the box, which is very annoying. But when you've got someone like this guy who just wants to get into the middle and shoot, I think it bears a lot of confidence. It reminds me a bit of Jota as well. I mean, him and Jota will probably get a lot of chances. It'll be interested to see if they play together a lot. To have 2 men of that ability in the box will bode well for us, and it shows you the thinking of Liverpool and the coaching stuff. I believe they probably saw that we're not getting enough chances in the box, and we're not taking a lot of chances in the box, and that's where you get most of your goals. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, we have a lot of magic, but just getting those crosses from, let's say, Trent. I think there's a couple crosses Trent does, the ones that first instinct on the floor, and there's no one there, you're thinking, wow, like, what a great chance. So if you've got someone like Nunez who enjoys playing within that area, it bodes well for us.
It really does bode well. And one of the things I want to touch on is, when I was kind of looking at and doing my research, the relationship he has with Rafa Silva could be a bit of an indication of what to expect with Mo Salah. Obviously, Rafa Silva played on the right-hand side predominantly for Benfica. Obviously, Mo Salah plays on the right-hand side predominantly for Liverpool. And Rafa was capable of and the parallels here are absolutely unrelenting when you do think about it. Rafa Silva drew a lot of opponents towards the ball, which we saw one thing that Mo Salah did in the second half of the campaign, where he was a lot more isolated. He was drawing opponents to the ball. So there's really around about 2 or 3 defenders around Mo Salah, cutting out his passing lanes and cutting off his effectiveness. And Nunez, with his intelligence, he was able to spot opportunities to run behind and get those opportunities in. They took a fantastic relationship. And the timing of Nunez's movement combined with Rafa Silva's vision and creativity caused opponents a lot of problems. Flip Rafa Silva for a considerably better player in Mo Salah.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite tasty. And it's something we saw quite a lot when Divock Origi came in the game as well. Those link-up plays and how to get in behind. So when you see that else and you kind of hear something like that, what we saw from Mohamed Salah in the second half of the season, where he didn't have someone to really play off, it was a lot of being isolated and kind of knocking the ball back to Trent or that right-hand side midfielder, having someone with really good intelligence and, again, that strength and athleticism to make those runs in behind and the clever movement and the lethal finishing. It's going to open up more opportunities for both of them, surely.
Yeah, of course. And if you look at the way Salah plays, you're right, because that's one thing Salah does do. He likes to do the 1-2s and get into the box. So if you look at a lot of his goals with Firmino and with Origi, it's usually like a bounce pass. It's like, okay, give it, then I give it back to me. And that's what Salah likes, and he cuts back onto his left foot. So with Nunez probably running across the front post with his hold-up plays, little flicks in behind, I think Salah will really, really look forward to that kind of someone just, giving you those bounce passes that is always needed. I think in the second half of the season, they didn't really get it, as you said. It was a bit hard. I mean, with Sadio Mane not being a natural number 9 and not naturally playing that role, he wouldn't know how to link up. But at times he did go back to the Man United goal, which was a very fantastic link up, very fantastic passing, and he knew where Salah was running into. But then when you have someone who naturally just wants to get in the box and link up with his right winger, it saves a lot for us, man. We might have a great partnership there, man.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Looking at the shot map in terms of the XG as well, a lot of high volume XG chances. He's getting in the right areas. The shots are around about where you'd expect. 85 shots, 26 goals. You just look at how he's overperforming that XG by basically 8 goals. The XG per shot, kind of like we mentioned earlier on too, it's just absolutely outrageous. Again, how are we figuring it in, Als, in terms of our passing and how we kind of work the ball into the box? Do you think that this level of shot performance could be replicated in the Liverpool team?
It could be. But again, like we said, that this league is a whole different kettle of fish. Defenders are a bit tighter. But having said that, if you're getting to the box that many times, at least you're going to score 1 in 3. You're going to definitely score 1 in 3. And if it's somebody that can, go over his XG by 8, which is absolutely ridiculous. That shows he's an absolutely sensational finisher. So I'm sure he's gonna get a set of goals that I can see him scoring a lot of spectacular one-hit goals.
Yeah, those Torres kind of goals. Who he has been. We all saw the video. We all saw how some of those finishes were very similar.
Hook that to my vein. Hook that right into my veins, man. We haven't had a pure number 9 since Torres, and just seeing the way he's relentless, the way he moves, the way he tries to get into the box, it does give us a lot of Torres vibes. And the way we like play football and try and get into the box as quick as possible. The likes of Robbo, the likes of Trent, Salah, even Thiago, some of his passing straight into the front men. So it does tell well, especially I think. Obviously, this is not a transfer pod, but if we are to get another right-sided midfielder, hopefully it's a player that drives into the box, that can also add something else to it, innit? So if you have someone who you can drive in and look for, and you see a big number 9 there, who's an excellent finisher, there's another chance that we can get more goals. So again, like we've been saying, it tells well for us, just the way we play, man.
Couldn't agree more. And we just looking at where those shot placements are too, and just the high quality of chances that he's producing for himself and putting away. You absolutely love to see it. This is an interesting graph that I saw on Sky Sports. Shot on targets and goals by under 22s across Europe in top 5 leagues per 90 minutes. Obviously, Darwin Nunez is very. He's a lead at the top of the graph, and the person that you can see in the circle right by him is one other than Erling Haaland. As it's really interesting that both Liverpool and City have kind of gone for this approach where they've identified these quite mobile number 9s. Do you see any similarities between the two in terms of how their playing styles are?
Because just looking at Haaland, he's like a a futuristic machine.
He is a robot for all
He,
accounts.
he moves like a robot. He just absolutely finishes insane. He talks like a robot. You know, on GTA, those flipping like, just stand like that. So it reminds me of those quite. But yeah, you can see the similarities in both of them because they're just athletic, big number nines who move a lot. Liverpool and Man City play a very fluid game. They don't play with static number nines. They don't play with your old school number nines. They play with a lot of mobile forwards. So having two players who are very quick and off the mark and want to move, it kind of helps their game. But I believe that is more of the little fine margins that they're looking for.
Yeah.
So they're looking for like players who can grab a goal at a 1-0 or 2-0 or 2-1. So these are the type of players, as you can see, Darwin has got a crazy XG, and obviously it's the same for Haaland. So it's big number nines who are excellent chances. I would say that they want to take the chances as much as possible, who can also move, so it doesn't really affect their game. But they might tweak it a little bit, but it won't affect it too much. So you can see the similarities there and what both teams are trying to do.
We've got robotic PNP and we've got Flavella's PNP. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they both get integrated. And the one thing, obviously, this does really show is that, you know, they're averaging essentially what we can equate to if we round it up to 2 shots on target per 90 minutes. And it's, ended up in a goal for both of them within those 90 minutes. So again, like you're saying, those key moments where they just need to be finishing and putting chances away, they're guaranteed to probably, 50% strike rate. If they get 2 shots on target, something's going to end up in the back of the net, which is going to be really interesting to see how they both get incorporated for both teams going forward. The heat map for Darwin Nunez is very interesting because if I covered his name and said, whose heat map do you think this is? You'd probably look at me and think, what's Sadio Mane's heat map? When we're looking at how they want to replicate the movement of Mane, the smart play, the progressive carrying, it's all going to be there. Again, like we said, and the one thing that really kind of shows out for me this is the relentlessness in Nunez's game. It's very much an undeniable trademark of his style. In and out possession, the energy, the tenacity to get in those areas that really cause problems for his opponents, as we saw him, like we alluded to earlier on, provide a real good challenge to Matip, to Konate, to Virgil in that first leg. You can very tell he likes to drift into those left-hand positions and kind of come in, but we see how he's adjusted himself to be very present in the box, whether it be in the 12-yard, within the 12-yard lines, or just in the box itself. He's there, he's about, he's present and accounting for. We're gonna get stuck into, I think it's the next slide. He thinks, I don't think it is. I think it's the slide after. But we're gonna get into how he kind of stacks up against Sadio Mane in terms of a direct replacement. But else, you look at how this heat map shows you an indication of Darwin Nunez as a player and his movement and how he goes about in the pitch. Do you think this really gives the indication that he can be, in terms of the movement and what Mane delivers to the game? Do you think he could be the ideal replacement?
Yeah. I mean, the numbers are similar. The movement is similar. The tenacity is similar. The strength, I'm not too sure yet, but he does look incredibly strong for a young man.
He looks like he's been in the gym with you, I've got to say.
He does. I can't lie, man. He looks very, very, he looks very, very strong.
He's been in the barbers with me and he's been in the gym with us.
Can't beat that combination. You cannot beat it. So, yeah, I think it's looking like an ideal replacement for Mane. Obviously, time will tell because Mane was an excellent player for us. So, for Nunez to even come close to what Mane has done will be absolutely fantastic. But in terms of the movement, you can see that he wants to drift wide, and he also probably wants to play those 1-2s as well with probably let's say a Diaz. Let's say it's Salah, Diaz, and Nunez up front. I believe that Diaz will probably want to come inside with his dribbling, while Nunez will drift outside and they do the little one touch into the box. So we'll probably be looking at things like that. So it is Mane-esque. If he can replicate the output of Mane, even half of that, we'll have that all day, man.
All day, every day. And be interesting to see how he interchanges with either Diogo Jota or Luis Diaz on that left-hand side as well, as he has been a left winger previously too. And again, the playmaking attributes from when he played on the left wing were really interesting. I think he got 9 assists in that season where he played predominantly on the left wing too. So again, from that graph we showed earlier on, there are really good playmaking attributes and how he can provide assists. So if you can integrate that part of his game with the ruthlessness as well, there's some player there, my word. Big fans of Sam Maguire and the team at 23 for putting some of the next 2 stats together. If you I don't know what you're doing if you don't read Sam's work at the moment. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. You can find him at Sam Maguire on Twitter, and of course he does have his own Patreon page, which has some fantastic stuff as well. So do subscribe to Sam. We're big fans of Sam on this pod. For myself, Els, Mike, pretty much everyone. We're a big fan. If it gets the Sam Maguire stamp of approval, it's good on Kop End. You know that for sure. Enough decorating there. But let's get stuck into how he compares against Liverpool attackers before they made the switch over to Liverpool. You can just see from this chart alone, it is the hallmarks of a trademark number 9. It's got the relentlessness, the ruthlessness that we expect from a lot of our attackers. But the interesting thing again, when we look at Sadio Mane, it really replicates well to what he did. The goals. He's absolutely insane. When you look at it from that end, the touches in the opposition box, it's just very increased what you would expect for a number 9. Els, do you really think that he can? Let me rephrase that question. When Liverpool do bring players in, they're on the cusp of, or they are about to break through that seed into the next level. They're about to go from Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan 3. Do you think that this is the same trajectory when you're looking at how the trend goes against, Salah, Jota, and Mane from this graph here? He's going to be on the same remit in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I think so. If you look at the touches in the box and the goals, even expected goals, you can see that there's a similarity with all the aforementioned players and all 3 players that came in prior to him. Absolutely lit up the league and lit up for Liverpool. So I'm fairly confident that he will also deliver. He's in an environment to deliver. He has the previous numbers because that's what we look for. I think if you're following Liverpool since Klopp has come in and the stats teams, the stats teams have really had a bigger opinion on our player recruitment. You can see that they haven't really got it wrong, and I believe this is probably another one where they've got it right, which is why I'm quietly confident that he can come in and replicate what Salah, Jota, and Mane have done previously.
Let's move on to the next. Speaking of how we can replicate the stuff that Mane does, again, big thanks to Sam Maguire for putting this up on Twitter. It's Mane's 2021-22 season against Nunez's 2021-2022 season. And it is a higher output in every single area. Granted, we do have to caveat this with a little bit that Mane was playing on the left for the first half of the season, and some of the performances weren't as great. Obviously, he did come to the party after AFCON when he did move into that number 9 position and was feeding off the movement of Luis Diaz, and obviously being able to create his own shot as well. When we look at this, we see the output that, and this isn't to say that I think Mane is easily replaceable. He's not in a lot of ways. But when you stack him against a player like Darwin Nunez, we talk about that desire, that unrelentlessness. I think that's a word. The unrelenting desire to push on, keep going forward and attacking. The passion, the PMP, that desire. That's the one thing that is very similar between the 2 players. And that's the thing I think is the hardest thing to replicate. But when we're looking at this from a purely stats point of view, it's increased from all categories and it is a younger model. Else, kind of what we've replicated on from before, we look at the pure output from Nunez here. Do you think he'll be able to keep this so it's similar in comparison to Sadio Mane in the Premier League? Or do you think there'll be a little bit of an adjustment period?
There might be, obviously, because he has to come in and settle down. He has to find out how we play our football. So that's granted. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him until December. Go to the basement somewhere and come out Super Saiyan 3. You know what I'm saying? But then I won't be surprised if he just hits the ground running because of all the key mental attributes he's got. From what I've been reading, it seems like he's very confident lad. He knows what he wants. He knows that he's supposed to be at this point. And to get a move to Liverpool, this current Liverpool at 22, you've got to be doing something right. So, again, at the top, we said we wouldn't mind if he gets 15 goals. He might get 15 goals. He might end up getting 25. Who's to know? But from what we see now, the numbers he's put up, I mean, he's eclipsing a legend in Mane. Obviously, Mane didn't have the best first halves of the season, but second half when we really needed him, he stepped up. But if Nunez is doing more than him, it shows that we've got something to think about and something to work with. Sorry,
I couldn't agree more. And the main criticism will be of Nunez from what we've seen is the first touch. But we've seen Mane's first touch in the past few years, and he's been a little bit springboardy. But he's been able to keep it under control, and he's been able to get it there. But we look at these numbers again as well, and these really are the underlying numbers that the analysts and the nerds with the laptops, much like ourselves on this video, will be looking at when we're trying to sign an attacker. And the fact that he's outperforming Sadio Mane in these metrics is really good. The only thing that we obviously need to nail down is whether these numbers are scalable or translatable to the Premier League. And I think they've decided that they are. I think we can see just the way that we played, the playmakers that we have in. Again, it will be good to see if we do get that another right-sided central midfielder who can, like you said, make those progressive runs into the box, play a little bit of a splitting ball, link up in that right-hand-sided triangle with, Mane and Nunez, if that is the route that Liverpool do want to do. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes. But I think this is very, very, very achievable for Liverpool to do. And I can see why they've done it. Let's head into our final words on Darwin. Are you happy, first and foremost?
Yeah, because we need an attacker. I'm happy that Liverpool have showed intent. Word to brother Julian. They showed intent, and we sorted ourselves out as quick as possible. Him coming in by July 4th or whatever, whenever we go back to pre-season. If he does, when he does sign and he's official, he'll have a whole pre-season to work with Klopp, work with the coaching staff, which would be so beneficial to him. We're replacing an older model with a younger model. That's not to say Mane's finished or anything. Mane could go on and do another 4 seasons, but who's to know? So I think Liverpool always try to hedge their bets and always try to be in control, which is the best thing for business. And this is showing why they're so good at what they do. I mean, it's a world-class outfit currently. There's nothing that numbers don't tell you. And as fans, as human beings, obviously sentiment and emotion plays a big part into what we do. But then you got to strip out the emotion and sentiment, and you just got to look at it for what it is. Do you know what I'm saying? So I believe Liverpool have done the right thing. Obviously, time will tell if it is the right thing, but currently at this moment, it looks like the right thing. An up-and-coming centre forward who's young, who has good underlying numbers, who we believe with the right coaching will absolutely eclipse anything that we have. So it makes sense right now. Hopefully,
I couldn't agree more, and I think it is going to be sad to see Sadio Mane go. Like you rightfully said, he's a Liverpool legend. But it's a calculated risk, and it's one that Liverpool did need to take. I'm just going to quickly sign off by kind of giving my end summary of Darwin Nunez. Disruptive striker, dynamic range of mobility that can carry counter-attacks. He makes really incisive movements around the box, and he can strike the ball explosively. He's very adept at attacking open spaces, and he's good at generating shots from a various amount of situations. He's also a very promising creator around the box. So again, when we talk about all those people kind of linking to play, the varied amount of attackers that we do have and the playmakers we have, he's going to eat well. We have to talk about the weaknesses, obviously. I think his ability to kind of have a little bit of his ability to in hold up play and link play in some of the build up is a little bit wanting. But again, we get him in the lab. He's in the best place to learn, like one of the best people to do who does that in Roberto Firmino.
Yep.
Get them in the gym together, getting on the pitch together, working on that. That can definitely be increased. It is a little bit of a worry, but I think he can improve with it in it. And look, the underlying numbers don't lie. He's a relentless, ruthless striker of the ball. and someone that I think we do really need kind of when we evolve. Sorry about the poor pun. Into this next phase of the Liverpool team, and Darwin is the right man to do that. I'm really looking forward to seeing him, hopefully, touch wood, when he passes the medical at Anfield next season and bagging a shitload of goals, hopefully. But yeah, that's been the scouting report. And if you'd like what you've heard here, we've gone on for 40 minutes. I was only planning to do 20, but we got so stuck into Darwin Nunez, we had to go a little bit more for y'all because this is the free taste. And if you love what we do here at Kop End, please head over to the Patreon page. The link is below in the description. And running across the ticker as we speak is patreon.com/Kop End Fracas. And sign up for just £3 per month today for more insight on all things LFC. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. Please drop a like and subscribe onto the Touchline community channel. We'll be back with the main pod, of course. And yeah, but just do check us out on all platforms, on our Twitter, on our Instagram, and follow us all individually too. So, Darwin Nunez to Liverpool, the next great Liverpool number 9. We'll see you soon.